Hello and welcome to another episode of the Autistic Experience, your one-stop shop podcast for guinea pig noises. Also featuring neurodivergent news and events. Because, as is normal at this point, for some reason as soon as I press the record button, the guinea pigs start going, "Oh, are we recording? Let me sing you the song of my people." My name is Kieran, as always joined by Chloe.
Hello.
Hi.
And many pigs.
and also many pigs. New episodes of this come out every Sunday at noon British time, and you can go follow our Instagram page at The Autistic Experience for all sorts of references to all the stuff we talk about. So if you've never listened to the show before, what we do is we have a look at some of the news stories which have come out in the last week, which have caught our eye, either about neurodivergent people, written for neurodivergent people, or also written by neurodivergent people. And then also a bit later, we'll have a look at the events which are coming up geared towards neurodivergent people in the next week, only in the UK. So I'm afraid if you don't live where we live, bad luck.
You have to find them yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But as always, we're going to start off with home news. I can't remember much about the last week, personally.
No. Well, I know I haven't been very well for a few days.
No, that's true. You've been all kinds of sniffly. Yeah,
and it's going away now, but I had a couple of days where, I'm just on the sofa doing nothing, so
yeah.
That's been a decent part since last Sunday.
And a couple of nights of going
yeah. Apologies if that was the case. Was it actually like that?
I mean, it sounds like that when you're trying to get to sleep, certainly.
Oh, gosh. I'm very sorry. But, I mean, otherwise, we've had to give pigs baths twice a day.
We have.
Every day for some sore skin on the naked pigs.
Uh-huh.
So that's been interesting. But otherwise, I mean, I know I haven't done very much this week, to be honest. It's been a bit of a
I think
quiet
it's been a fairly quiet week. I mean, we've started playing Pal World.
We have, yes.
Both of us, which, if you haven't heard of it, is marketed as Pokemon with guns.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't think that's the official advertisement slogan, but it's how you describe it to someone.
Yeah, it works. But I mean, I've played a few hours of it. You've played a lot more than I have, but...
I mean, not that much more. I've played a couple of sessions of it, but you've spent basically all day on it.
I don't know.
Oh, no. For just how many hours?
Maybe like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into it. I did get into it. I quite like it. So I recommend. It's just nice and light.
Apart from all the guns.
Yeah. Well, I've only come across a couple of guns so far, but it's just nice, cute little creatures that run around in a nice environment that's all open and beautiful. And then there's there's an element of fighting and catching like you do in Pokemon. And it's kind of exciting and trying to aim the ball and throw the ball at them while you're still fighting.
It's all in real time. It's not turn-based.
It's quite fun, really. And then you get to build your own base and have all your little friends hanging around and running around your base and doing things.
Doing all your work for you.
Yeah. And you can just look at them or have them running around next to you. There's a lot of cute little creatures on there that I think are pretty good for, the autistic brain.
Very squishable.
Yeah, you know how we tend to like things like guinea pigs, for example. There's quite a few animals.
Round, squishy and weird.
Yeah. There's quite a few round, squishy and weird creatures in Power World, I think. So, recommend trying it.
Otherwise, I don't think we've done that much.
I think we've been planning things, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of planning.
Yeah, we did some holiday research.
Yeah, we've basically planned the entire thing. We've just got to book it now.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it's quite funny, really, because I have that, restless tickle in my brain that makes me want to go on holiday a lot. And then when we talk about going on holiday or kind of like hypothetically plan a holiday, but we don't even book it, it sort of like scratches that itch just a little bit, you know, like trying to plan it and imagine that it's happening is kind of good enough for a little while.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the dopamine thing that gets into your brain, isn't it? It's the kind of I've done this, I've planned
Yeah.
the holiday.
Yeah.
And, you know, the planning of the holiday is the nice part because everything is nice and organized. You know exactly when things are going to happen, how much things are going to cost. You've lined up all the flights and the hotels and everything, and it's like,
Yeah.
ooh, very nice. Actually, going on holiday is quite stressful, but planning it
Can be, yeah.
is quite pleasing.
And also, when I always think like when you're planning it, you know that it's in the distant future, so you can look forward to it. But I know that when I go or when I'm there, it's not going to be very long until I come back.
Yeah.
And that's the bit I don't like. I don't like the coming back part.
How about we take a look at some of the news stories or articles which have grabbed our attention in the last week, starting with this one, which was published on the 24th of January on charitytoday.co.uk. And it's work begins on UK first art centre for autistic young people with complex needs. So it seems as though Berkshire is later on this year potentially going to get an autism friendly art centre. Now, I'm not quite sure how that's going to physically function, but I imagine there'll be quite a lot of sensory aspects to it. So lower lights, better soundproofing, hopefully slightly more comfortable chairs, and hopefully some level of like smell regulation.
Yeah, it's easy for that to become a problem.
Yeah.
It does say that you can look on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've just spotted that. So it's the Prior's Court YouTube channel. Prior's Court is where it's going to be, where it is currently started being building. Otherwise, you can go to priorscourt.org.uk to have a look at any extra information on that. But it'll be interesting to see how it turns out because, yeah, as with many of these things, it could be quite a good thing if it's successful and it gets some good feedback. Then it might be worth kind of retrofitting quite a lot of old village halls and things to be a bit more sensory friendly in that regard.
Yeah.
I don't imagine the YouTube videos are particularly well produced.
No.
That just looks like two people standing in front of green screens. Also, the framing is not particularly good. And it's also very clunky cuts, isn't it? I mean, you're not to artfully critique their
the art
incredibly low budget. Yeah, I mean, you would have thought an art centre they'd have some level of
goodness sake
directorial credentials involved, but no, apparently not. All right, let's move on to the second article we're going to talk about.
Oh, yes.
Which was published on the I was going to say the 72nd.
The 72nd.
No, the centisecond.
The 72nd.
The centisecond. No, it's not the the 22nd. I'm going to say that again.
The 72nd of January.
The centisecond. Yeah. The 22nd of January on attitudemag.com, and it's entitled Using a Dopamine Menu to Stimulate Your ADHD Brain. Now, we were talking a bit about dopamine earlier on in terms of planning holidays.
Yes.
So the idea of this technique, as far as I'm aware, is that focus is difficult.
Yeah.
So you need to get a certain amount of dopamine in order to focus, because the dopamine is like, great, you've completed this task.
Yeah.
But depending on how much dopamine you need to produce, you end up producing that in different sorts of ways.
Yeah.
So instead, like, say you've got, I don't know, let's say some paperwork to write, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're typing away, and then your brain just goes,
Yeah.
don't want to do this anymore. That's, that's the lack of dopamine, because it's going, I'm not getting anything out of this. So instead, you need to go and look on your dopamine menu and go, okay, so it's a small thing. What can I do off this just to quickly get some of that dopamine? So some of the examples they gave is like doing some like jumping jacks or squats or petting a dog if you've got one handy. Or just doing a small thing to get your brain to go, okay, like we've done a task. Let's move on.
Yeah. And it kind of gives you different examples of different meal sizes, I suppose, for kind of different levels of activity. So if you want to do something quick, like you said, like some jumping jacks, then that'd be like a starter.
Yeah, it says, like for starters, it says they're quick activities that don't suck you in but still provide a burst of dopamine. I want to take issue with one of these examples.
Oh, yeah.
Because one of these, all right, two of these examples. One of them is taking a warm shower, which is not a quick activity because your brain just gets... It specifically says that don't suck you in, but the shower is the perfect opportunity for your brain just to go on a random tangent.
Oh, I know. And like,
that lasts half an hour.
If it's fairly cold as well, like it is here at the moment, if you get in, I don't know about anybody else, but if I get into a warm shower, I sometimes find it almost impossible to get myself out of it again because I'm so comfortable and I'm like, I don't want to deal with the cold outside the shower.
And then the other one I want to take issue with is working on a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, that would not be a quick activity.
No, because having done crossword puzzles with you...
Well, it's both takes a long time and also tends to annoy me.
Yeah. So it completely sucks you in. And you're like, I must complete this, otherwise I have no worth.
Pretty much. And if I don't know a word, I'm like, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's like, just go and sit down and work on a jigsaw puzzle for a bit. If I do that, that's the rest of the day gone.
Yeah. I agree with the idea of that one, but some of the examples definitely wouldn't work for me, I think. And somebody's put as well, there's a comment that says, a 30-second cold water blast at the end of my shower every morning gives me a quick boost. Like, no, thank you. No. I'm good.
Why would you want to ruin it?
Yeah, I don't want to be cold. No. But anyway.
So then it moves on to the main course, which are slightly more time-consuming activities, which are... I mean, the examples they give are like playing an instrument, walking the dog, exercising, journaling, cooking or baking, or working on a hobby.
I do enjoy these activities excite me and make me feel alive. Comment at the beginning, though. The example of working on a hobby has got coin collecting.
I'm not sure how that practically works.
I don't know.
You know, how do you work on coin collecting? It's just... surely it's just... going on eBay and going coin. It's scroll.
Just search
bid.
for coin.
Yeah, that's the only way I can think of how you would work on coin collecting.
I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
It's like, I'm just going to go upstairs. I need to work on my coin collecting. What?
I mean, if anybody collects coins or knows anyone that collects coins, please let us know how this works as a hobby. Because I don't really know either. But I suppose it's a bit like, because some people do it with like stamps and that, don't they, as well? It's one of those kind of things.
Well, I think, coin collecting is one of those ones which is much easier if it's a digital format, because that's just your bank account.
Yeah.
I collect digital coins.
I coin collect, actually. Now you said that, yeah. I do coin collecting.
Not very good at it, though.
No.
Keep losing them.
Yeah. Somehow
and yarn turns up instead.
Yeah, I try and collect coins and I end up collecting like all these like baked goods and
guinea pigs,
balls of yarn and guinea pigs. Yeah, like I don't know how I get these so mixed up with my coins, but
yeah, coins and guinea pigs do look pretty similar, don't they?
I think guinea pigs are more valuable. That's just me. Yeah, I mean, as you said, where it says these activities excite me and make me feel alive, it's like I can't have all of my main course options being skydiving, climbing a mountain.
Going on holiday.
Yeah, like I need to have some stuff that's actually doable. This last one I took a bit of an issue with as well. So the last one is obviously desserts. So it says like activities that are easy to overdo because, you know, they're easily accessible, give you a good hit of dopamine, but you kind of don't want to do it too much or just do that because if you have too much dessert, then you end up feeling sick. And it's got examples of desserts include watching TV and playing video games by yourself. And I just find that's a little bit like, feel a little bit like
It's a bit
targeted
judgy, isn't
there,
it?
yeah. Like I enjoy playing. I'd say playing video games by myself would come more under like a main course for me. Or like you could even do it as a if you're able to do it for a short period of time and then stop to go back to what you were doing before, then you could do it as a starter thing. But yeah, playing video games by myself, I'll do that for hours.
Yeah.
Or like texting. Like is texting just like an activity of its own? Because don't most people just reply to messages when they come through? Rather than setting aside like a specific
I'm going to do a
time
solid
to
hours of texting.
Like I better not text too much in one go. Like what?
Like, sorry, no, I can't come to the party. I've got to do some pretty important texting.
Yeah, like most people with ADHD probably don't have enough people to text to make up any time with that. I know I don't.
No, I mean, sometimes it takes me an hour to write a text message. Maybe that's what that means.
One of my favourite quotes from this article is right at the end where it says, if you're struggling to develop dopamine menu options, it says if you don't know what you like anymore, then it's time to see a doctor because the issue could be depression. It's just like, that's how the article finishes. And that just really kind of made me laugh a little bit because I just read it and I was like, yeah.
Hashtag relatable.
Me.
So this last article was actually published on October the 26th, 2021.
Oh my goodness.
But I brought it out for you.
I figured
specifically
it might have
for
been
you.
directed towards me, this one.
Because it's called How to Ace Your Job Interview in ADHD Primer.
Yay. So yes, that's actually, I've applied for a new job. I'm waiting to see if I get like proper interview plans, but that explains why this is relevant.
Yeah,
because I may have to do the interview.
Yeah, because it's a job you've applied for before and you got an interview last time.
Yeah.
Which didn't go great.
No.
But let's see if there's anything in here which is actually... number 3 is manage anxiety and rejection sensitivity dysphoria. And we go, well, if only we could.
Yeah.
I should mention this one is also on Attitude Magazine. AttitudeMag.com.
Rejection sensitive dysphoria causes some candidates to dwell on painful past rejections. They've just said, like, research the company and the position and, like, jot down questions and just tell yourself that you've now done everything that's in your control. It's like, that doesn't help. That's nothing to do with rejection sensitivity,
No, not really.
Because you're like, that's basically you saying, I'm worried I'm going to do bad and I'm not going to get the job or they're going to think I'm rubbish. There's nothing you can do about that.
It's pretty similar to sort of a phobia.
Yeah.
Because most people who have phobias like spiders or darkness or heights or deep water or holes,
Yeah.
for the most part, they know their irrational fears, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I know it's silly, but I can't stop it.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we could manage it, we would.
Yeah.
It's not like we go, well, I mean, there's this, and I can take care of it easily, but no, I choose to wallow.
Yeah, I know. I think the best thing for rejection sensitivity is just to, if you can, just tell yourself, like, if I don't get it, I don't get it. And that's kind of it, really. It's like, take out the fear of not getting it by just trying to accept that you might not get it and it's not personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
a difficult
I think one of the ways a lot of us kind of react to it, because it's not something we put any sort of thought into, it's just an instinctual reaction, is kind of anger.
Yeah.
A little bit when you're like, well, I didn't want it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like, I would have hated it. I didn't want to work there anyway. Alternatively, you can go for the, oh, thank goodness I don't need to change my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the issue is, if that same opportunity comes up or a similar one, you've kind of got to deal with the fact that you've convinced yourself that you didn't actually want the job in the first place.
Yeah.
And you've got to reel that back and go, no, I actually do want to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you go into a job interview and you're still of the mindset of, I don't really want the job, then you're not going to get the job that you secretly do actually want.
Yeah. It's that balance of like, you've got to kind of deal with it in just a fairly neutral way. And I mean, there's a bit later on in this article that talks about like what to do after the interview if you don't get the job. It's like you can have a sad day, but it needs to be kind of controlled and, you know, do something nice for yourself or have a bit of a moan. But I just think I find the easiest thing to do now is just to accept it, really, and just let it go.
And eat some cheese.
Yeah. Like, you think, oh, that's a shame. I wonder what it would have been like. But, yeah, you just kind of... And I don't necessarily think I could give any tips on that. I think it's just something that I've ended up doing on my own. Probably from the many different job interviews I've done that I haven't got the jobs for. But, I mean, a couple of points in that article that I definitely did last time that I messed up on were things like the section about don't overshare and, like, try and keep your answers on track. Because if you start oversharing and going into things that are not directly related to the question you've been asked or directly related to the job, then it confuses the whole sort of interview process. So I think maybe having a few notes of things that you definitely want to make sure that you say or things that you can bring up in response to certain questions, I think is a really good idea. Especially if it's a job that you really want and you kind of know about. Like if it's a specific role like the one I've applied for, then having a few notes to include that are focused, I think is quite useful. Keeps you on track a bit more than just if you're sitting there kind of with your own brain, just trying to think of responses on the spot. Your mind can kind of float off in various directions.
Well, put it this way. What happens when someone asks you what your favourite film is? You forget every film you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Imagine basically having to come up with, let's say, an essay about why this is your favourite film.
Yeah, you've got to like deliver this presentation in like starting immediately. And you've got half an hour to talk about this film and why you like it.
Yeah. And try and do that focused.
Yeah, like...
It's not happening. You need notes, basically.
Yeah. There was one job interview I did a few years ago, which I thought about while I was reading this article. That it was for an escape room, and they said when they invited me to the interview to bring like a personal object of significance with you. They didn't say why, they just said to bring something of significance. And I was like, okay, cool, maybe they're going to like ask us to talk about it or something. So I picked something that I thought would be quite interesting. And it was quite significant at the time. And then the thing was that one of the interviewers covered his eyes and had to try and guess what the object was. And I got it out onto the table. I was like, you were never in a million years going to guess what this is.
Correct me if I'm... But isn't it not the little 3D printed you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took like a kind of, 2-inch tall 3D printed statue of myself to this job interview. And he tried to guess what it was. And then when he couldn't guess it, obviously, I showed them what it was. And I was like, it's a statue of myself. And they were like, okay, what? And I mean, I went off on this whole thing about like how, it was significant to me because it had like positive effects on my mental health and things at the time. Because I could like look at myself from outside and it made me feel better about myself. I think like looking back on that, it's just so embarrassing to think about that that's actually what I did or what I took to the interview. So yeah, don't do things like that. That's my advice. Not a tiny statue of yourself. And then to go into like your whole sob story about your mental health, because actually the article says they say don't talk about periods of poor mental health.
Yeah, but how can you talk about like what you've been up to the last week if you don't cover the extensive depression that comes along with it?
Yeah, it's true.
So what did you do the other day? Well, I had a self-care day. And you go, oh, how come? It's like, the article says not to talk about periods of bad mental health. So I can't answer any questions about my past or my future.
Or my present.
What do you see yourself doing in 5 years' time? Well, I'm afraid I'm not allowed to answer questions about periods of poor mental health. And with that, let's move right on and just blast through these events which are coming up in the next week in and around the UK, mostly in, but that's fine. So coming up on Tuesday, January the 30th, this one is going to be a little bit difficult to get to because it's on Guernsey.
Oh, wow.
The island of the UK. So this is at the Gil Alley Library on Market Street in Guernsey between 6 and 8 p.m. It's Her ADHD Meetup, and the thing says, hey there, join us at Her ADHD Meetup, a super cool in-person event where badass ladies with ADHD come together to share experiences, suppo, and that's the end of the thing. Look.
Suppo?
Suppo.
Oh yeah, actually.
Share experiences, suppo. So they're so ADHD they can't even finish the sentence.
Yeah, it's that exciting.
It's so #relatable.
I mean, I would quite like to go for some suppo, I think.
You want some suppo?
Yeah. I'd go to that meetup for suppo.
I mean, that's the benefit of suppo. It can either be short for support or supper. Either way, good.
I'm happy with either or both.
Either version of suppo is good. Further details for that and to reserve your free spot, go onto Eventbrite or search Her ADHD Meetup Guernsey, I guess. Then on the 31st of May, no, not May, May? Where do we pull that out of? The 31st of January is not necessarily to everyone's tastes. It's the Autistic and Smashing It book launch and professional networking event. So it runs from 5:30 till 9 o'clock at the Union Theatre in southeast London. Tickets are anywhere between £11 and £30, depending on whether you want the book or not. But yeah, I'm just looking at got a picture of the book, and the little subtitle is Unlocking Inclusion, Innovation and Neurodivergent Potential in the Workplace. So that's not going to be one worth reading. But it does have canapes at the end.
Ooh.
But also networking, so yeah.
Is it worth it?
I don't know, there's no mention of suppo either. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested, it's some sort of businessy book. It says a powerful exploration of thriving with autism in today's world and how to be more inclusive. Good luck to him. I'm not going to this one, but I mean, there's a note at the bottom that says, we humbly ask all attendees to not clap, as clapping can cause distress for some. Please click or snap your fingers to show appreciation.
That sounds like it is verging more on a kind of neurotypical people trying to be nice to...
It does a bit, doesn't it?
Neurodivergent people. neurotypical people trying to include the autistics by being like, please don't clap and let's be inclusive.
Please no flash photography, it startles them.
Yeah.
Don't bang on the glass. Please don't feed the autistics, apart from using the canapes provided.
Yeah. Wait for them to approach you. Hold the canapé in your hand.
Yeah.
Keep your hand flat.
Do not make eye contact.
Yeah. And let them approach.
Anyway, so the last thing we've got for you is happening on Saturday, the 3rd of February at the Oatlands in Harrogate. And it's the Ambitious About Autism live music raffle and fundraiser. So this is basically a fundraiser for this, I think it's a charity of some description. It's called Ambitious About Autism. And it says, join us for a fun-packed evening of live music, dancing, art, and a huge raffle celebrating the talents of local young people with autism. Autism. So yeah, it's basically a fundraising thing. Tickets are £10 to go to. There's a raffle for stuff. I mean, to be fair, it was all in the title. All the important information was there. I'm not sure what else we could add. They've evidently decided to add quite a few more extra words onto that. But the good news is, it says, we're sorry, but we cannot accommodate children.
Yay!
Hooray!
No children.
Yeah. We regret that due to a limited capacity of 100 tickets, we can only invite adults to maximise our chances of raising money for the charity fundraiser. Please bring cash. Which does seem as like it's some sort of mafia sting operation, doesn't it? Yeah, please bring cash to the fundraiser.
Yeah.
Everyone just come with a big bag of money.
We can only invite adults.
Yes.
Please bring cash.
Please bring cash. Hey, welcome to the fundraiser. I'll leave your cash at the door and then get the hell out of here.
Oh, God.
Details for all of those events are going to be available on our Instagram page at The Autistic Experience. So you can have a look at those instead of having to remember whatever drivel just came out of our mouths. But that's it for this week's episode. That's all of the things we want to talk about and probably quite a lot more. So my editing day is going to be long.
Yeah. Good luck.
Going to be a long edit for this humble bumpkin.
Humble bumpkin.
Maybe while you're at it, leave a nice rating and review on whatever podcast platform you happen to be listening on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your psychiatrist, tell your milk delivery person, tell your online friends, tell your guinea pigs.
Everybody. Tell
everybody. Every single person you've ever come into contact with.
Yeah, and ever do in the future.
Yeah. You know that person you accidentally walked into at the bus stop? Yeah, tell them. Knock on their door in the middle of the night going, hi, I know I only met you once. We were bumped into at a bus stop, but I need to tell you about this podcast.
Yeah.
And they say, who are you? How did you find me? I live 20 floors up. How are you outside?
Yeah. Once they listen to it, they'll go, oh, this guy was onto something.
I understand how they got up the outside of the building.
Yeah.
It's so obvious now.
Powers.
We'll have another episode for you next Sunday at midday UK time. I've been Kieran, she's been Chloe.
You go get that free suppo.
That's the one.